Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fairmont Chapter York Rite podcast. And today with me, we have a very special guest. It is Most Excellent Companion, First Principal, Dale Langille from the Grand Chapter of Quebec. Thank you for joining us today and officially welcome on your unofficial visit to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. I'm happy to have you. We're happy to hear from you. As me and you spoke before, I said it's very important for people in grand chapters and grand lodges to be able to explain what their vision is, what they're doing, and also get to know you personally and what your journey in the craft has been like. So today, I have several questions here for Most Excellent Companion, and we're going to go through these questions, and they'll be helpful to get to know him better, to know what his plans are for the craft, what he's accomplished in this year, and also his opinions on the York Rite in particular. So my first question to you is, can you share with us your journey in Freemasonry and how it led you to the Royal Arch chapter?
Sure. Well, I joined Hemmingford Lodge in November of 2000, and many of the members there were already Royal Arch Masons. And there was a strong feeling in there that you shouldn't go too quickly, that you should take your time, go through your Blue Lodge before moving on to the other bodies. So that's pretty much what I did. I went through the chairs of my Blue Lodge rather quickly. I was Worshipful Master, 2005, I guess. 2004, 2005. I got into the East. I joined Royal Arch in 2006, and then I had a career change that prevented me from attending chapter for the next 3 years. So I kept my membership, but I didn't really participate very much. Then around 2010, 2011, I started to go through the chairs a little bit, but I had a bunch of different career changes and things that weren't letting me really put too much time and energy into the chapter. But I loved it. I found that those degrees were just such a continuation of the story of Freemasonry and a better explanation of the things that we had already seen. So I still attended as much as I could. And then, I guess one day I got a phone call from, I won't say their names, but some guys that were in Grand Chapter, and they asked me if I'd be interested in being Grand Third Principal. And at that time, I really didn't understand or know the structure of Grand Chapter very much. So I asked for a little explanation. They said, "Oh yeah, it's just kind of like being Grand Junior Warden." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." I said, "That's not too bad." I said, "I can handle that." It was only afterwards that I found out that it was actually a 6-year commitment, which I'm very happy that I did. I've enjoyed every minute of it. So that's how we've gotten to where we are now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's quite a story. It's amazing how you progressed in the Blue Lodge very quickly and then came back to chapter later on after the 3-year hiatus when the time was right. I'm curious to know, what was it about the Royal Arch chapter that spoke to you personally, and why did you choose to commit so deeply into this particular body and go deep into York Rite?
Right. Well, like I mentioned before, the degrees of the Royal Arch, the Mark Master, the Most Excellent, and the Royal Arch degree are just so full of teaching and more light knowledge, instruction, morality, virtue. It amplifies the Masonic experience so much. The historical aspect of it, the more that you learn about the temples being built and how the people were in that time and how they worked, the craftsmen especially, it really drew my attention. I like to learn the stories of the degrees. I like to learn the history behind them. I'm always fascinated with learning and seeing new degrees, to see different aspects of the craft pushed forward and just taught to us. So that's really what it does it for me. And the York Rite is just, at each level of the York Rite in all the different bodies, the degrees are so deep and so full of meaning, and you can continue learning from these degrees over and over again. Every time you see them, you'll pick out something new that you didn't notice in the degree before. They're really amazing.
Mm-hmm. Even after all this time, I'm curious for you if there is one symbol or one lesson that stands out to you particularly. Of course, we can't go too deep into it without sharing any secrets or mysteries. But I
Mm-hmm.
wonder, even if for you at this time, there's one lesson or symbol that kind of stood out to you lately that's been on your mind that came from a degree that people would usually miss.
Well, we push so much, helping our brothers and charity and community, and so much it almost becomes repetitive in how we say it and we push it. But for me, it's serving my brethren. As my position as assistant grants secretary, I'm always, I'm answering questions. I'm there for the brethren and the companions. And as my role as Grand First, it's very much similar, except you got to go through a few more steps to get the questions to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I really, I really take pride in being there and helping and answering questions and providing whatever knowledge that I can when I have the answers. When I don't have the answers, I'm very happy to go and find the answers.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And then you also mentioned history a moment ago too. You said the historical parts are very interesting for you. Myself personally, before the craft, I would not have enjoyed history. I could maybe sit down and watch a documentary on A&E or the Learning Channel or something like that for a bit, but I couldn't sit there and go through a book. But through a lot of these degrees, I'm able to experience history, whether it be something that happened in the first temple or the second temple, or who High Guy is, or Zerubbabel, or any of these people. I'm wondering, what do you personally enjoy about the historical aspects of the craft and the degrees?
I really love see how it's tied into our real history, world history. So, um, and biblical history also, obviously. When when I look back and growing up, we always watched a lot, Ten Commandments and
Mm-hmm.
all these biblical movies. And now when I go back and I see them, or they get new ones that come out or remakes, and I start watching them and picking out the names that are coinciding with our Masonic stories as well. And for me, that's really it's fun. It's a very fun part of it. I'll
Mm-hmm.
be watching TV and I'll say, "Oh, I know that name. That's from this degree." Or, "Oh, geez, okay, I didn't realize that that person was involved with that act." So for me, that's really interesting.
That's amazing that you mentioned that, because I can very much relate to that. I just did the RAM degree recently, and I did a part where I had to remember some names, and I said, "Who is this name?" And that name forced me to then go onto YouTube and the internet and not look up the degree, but to look up who that person was. And I said, "Oh, I never knew this person did X, Y, Z in the Second Temple or in this and that." And it gets you to kind of live history. It's a lot different than just reading it. You now become the protagonist that is acting in a part of history, and you can appreciate the lesson and what that person went through so much more. So that's definitely, I think, relatable, what you said, to myself, but also definitely to everybody listening to this, no matter what degree they are, or even if they're thinking of joining. I have another question here for you about the grand chapter in particular. Many Masons, definitely in the public, aren't clear on what chapter is. How would you describe the function of the Royal Arch within the broader Masonic system?
Yeah, that's really interesting because traditionally and historically, especially over in Europe and United Grand Lodge of England, the Royal Arch degree is considered the continuation of the third degree. And it's necessary in many parts of the world to receive your Royal Arch degree. It's where we find the lost secrets. It's the continuation and the completion. Well, maybe not the completion, but it's the continuation of the story that we learn in the third degree. So it should play a huge role in every Mason's journey. Now, they don't have to rush it, but when they have time to get to it, it's something that really adds another level and a deeper understanding of our third degree and the second degree also, but the completion of the third degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as they say, the first, second, the third, and and the Holy Royal Arch.
Exactly.
Complete.
And we have it. It's a little different over here in North America, where we do the Mark Master Mason and the Most Excellent Master in our chapters, whereas in other parts of the world, the Mark Master has its own body and its own lodge. It's even starting to have a resurgence in the States right now. There are Mark Master lodges that are opening up all over the place.
Amazing. I definitely want to go visit there sometime. Get a little bus together and go see some of them if they have them in the States. I don't know if they have them in Vermont. That's pretty close. It's pretty close.
Well, we do have them here in Montreal with their United Grand Lodge of England brothers.
Yes,
they have Mark Master lodges here also.
Okay, good to know. So if anybody's thinking about visiting it, I do believe we have one or two, so they can check those out. What are the responsibilities as Grand First Principal? What are some of the responsibilities of that role in your week-to-week or seasonal basis?
Well, part of the joy about being the top is that you get to delegate most of the work. As for day-to-day responsibilities, most of that, the day-to-day handling of Grand Chapter is taken care of by our Grand Scribe, and who's also doubling as our Grand Treasurer at this time. But I guess it's more of being available to the companions and making sure that everybody down the line is doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's checking in with our Grand Second Principal and our Grand Third Principal to make sure that our Grand Superintendents are doing their jobs, and then the Grand Superintendents checking in with our chapters to making sure that they're conforming to the Constitution and filling out whatever proper paperwork needs to be done and these sorts of things. It's there's a lot of administrative work that's handled mostly by the Grand Scribe. The Grand Scribe checks with me on a regular basis as to how to handle certain situations.
Mm-hmm. Just so anybody listening, just so a little bit of terminology. He said superintendent, so that would be kind of the equivalent of DDGM, I suppose, in Blue Lodge.
Yeah.
And then he also said second and third principal. Would their roles kind of be like junior warden, senior warden roles, or is it different?
Well, it's different in the sense that the Grand Chapter, and our chapters themselves, it's kind of a progressive line. So once you go to the Eastern Chapter, as you know, but those who might not be aware, there's three positions that sit in the East. So there's the third principal, the second principal, and the first principal. And, barring any health or inabilities, once you go, after you finish your third, you'll move up to the second. After you finish second, you'll move up to the first. Some of the roles are similar to which would be the Grand Junior, Grand Senior Warden, for example. The Grand Third Principal would be responsible for organizing any social activities, banquets, buffets, those type of things, similar to the Grand Junior Warden. And the Grand Second Principal, similar to the Grand Senior Warden, would be in charge of the Grand Superintendents and more of hands-on with the chapters.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So one person that is, the third is in the festivities and the events. The second is the business, handling a little bit more of the business. And then yourself at the helm steering the ship.
Correct.
Great. So that's pretty clear. I think everybody will understand that.
Yeah, and just to add to that, the real beauty of it is that, it's Grand Council, it's the three principal officers that do decisions. It's not as, I don't want to say, you know, uh, in Blue Lodge, we get the symbol, we get the feeling sometimes that the master rules all and directs all. Whereas in chapter and in grand chapter, it's not really so much placed on one, more as is placed on the three.
So there has to be a consensus of 2 out of the 3 people in order to agree to a decision.
Generally, yes.
That's great. That's great. I think it's also going to be appealing to a lot of people who like that dynamic and want to contribute to the decision making and the business of the chapter. What do you hope to leave behind during your tenure? Is there specific goals you're aiming to accomplish?
Well, I was very fortunate that in my first year, we put on the 1 day class where we added 80, I believe 83 new Royal Arch Masons to our chapters. And for me, that's really been the highlight, and that was the main objective of my term. This second year, I've been trying to get more of the administrative side on better track, and the Grand Scribe has done an excellent job of bringing in new software for our accounting and getting the chapter's memberships organized. It's a long job. It's not finished yet, and we're also looking at regalia, grand chapter regalia, what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. There's been a lot of confusion over the years, and we're not really following the Constitution as well as we should be. So that's bringing up other discussions. Our Constitution needs a rework. That's not something that happens quickly, but it's something that definitely want to get the ball rolling on, so that in the future years we're able to get things fixed up properly.
You have a lot of projects there. The regalia you mentioned, the communications with the scribe, and many things happening there. Constitution reworks, and is there, and of course the chapter that you did added 83 or 84 new people. You said.
Yeah, I think the total was 83 at the end of the day to across the province. Yep.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Is there anything else on your to-do list that you'd like to try to accomplish or leave for the next person next year?
Um, I couldn't say that there's one thing. I think we've got the ball rolling on many different topics, and the Grand Second and Grand Third have been involved with these conversations, and some of these ideas have come straight from them also. So, what I like is that the continuity is going to be there. Even when I'm
Absolutely.
not Grand First anymore, the Grand Second and Grand Third move up. So, 2 out of the 3 are always there. So it's nice to know that they're going to continue on with what we started.
I see. So it's like a 3-year plan, and everybody's been involved in the creation of that plan, and they'll help in executing it as time goes on.
Yeah, and really it's 6 years because we do 2 years at each position.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Has there been a moment during your leadership, an experience that you had that really made you feel like it was all very much deeply worth it? We were very satisfied with the results of not a project, but you mentioned charity before, or how we try to make good men better. You saw an improvement in somebody's life, or even in your own. Has there been a moment like that?
Well, I would say on a craft wide level, it was definitely our 1 day class. That I probably have the most pride in, that we pulled that off, and it was a great success. Everybody enjoyed it, and it was a huge step forward for Royal Arch Masonry in the province. Um,
Was there
on
a
a
lesson that
person,
you got from that? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no. I mean, the lesson that I took from that was that literally when we do put our minds together and all go in one direction, we're all rowing in the same way, we can accomplish some pretty great things. I mean, when you think about it, we brought 10 chapters together, and added 83 members to those roles in one day. All the work was done by memory. Everybody enjoyed themselves. It was done bilingually. Um, it was just huge. Like this, we haven't seen this before in Quebec. It's been done elsewhere, but never done here. So for me, it was a real eye opener that we got everybody going in the right direction all together, and we were able to accomplish what we set out to do.
Congratulations on that. Yeah, it definitely doesn't sound like it was easy to. It doesn't sound like it was something that had happened before. It doesn't sound like it was an easy task, and I can imagine how good it feels to accomplish that. I have one last question for you, most excellent companion, before we finish off here today. The last question I have is for Masons considering York Rite. If you want to speak to them, especially the younger brethren, so younger, I guess you'd say is 30, or the newer ones that have been in the craft but they're new. Why should they consider joining chapter? What do you think they gain?
So the real beauty of joining chapter is the lessons that we're learning and the explaining of the previous degrees in Masonry, the completion of the journeys that our craftsmen took, and the revealing of the secrets that were originally lost by the untimely death of one of our great heroes. So the goal is to receive more Masonic light and more Masonic knowledge. And the York Rite and the Royal Arch in particular is the stepping stone to that. You are going to learn so much by coming and experiencing these degrees. They're not just read to you. You go through them, you participate. It's very, very much biblically relative. The degrees are following right along with our teachings that we learn in Blue Lodge. And at the same time, you're now building relationships with companions who are coming from different Blue Lodges. So as we join Masonry, our first relationships are built with our lodge brothers and then with our district brothers. But now when you join a chapter, you're going to have brethren that are coming from all different lodges, from all different districts. So your Masonic circle is going to grow by joining Royal Arch, and your Masonic knowledge is going to grow. And that in turn is going to help you grow and you to become a better person. So that's why I think all Masons, whether young or old, beginning in their craft or have been in the craft for 30 years, should experience a Royal Arch Masonry.
Very well said. Thank you for sharing that. I couldn't have said it better myself. You really broke down the historical, the engagement, and the lessons that are taught there. If I can add to your observation, I'd say that comes to mind. One of the things that I very much enjoy is how you said you're meeting people from different lodges you wouldn't usually meet. And then what I end up doing is I end up meeting people in chapter. And then I say, hey, what lodge are you in? And sometimes I go visit them after, as I wouldn't have visited them. And I find that chapter tends to have a really big group of people who are, let's say, more serious about the work they're doing and the craft they're doing, especially here at Fairmont. I have had a heck of an experience at Fairmont where guys are incredibly knowledgeable. Most of the guys in my chapter get awarded the tutor pin every year because they're very knowledgeable, very experienced. They're serious guys. They take what they do seriously. They put a lot of effort into it. They care for the chapter and they care about everybody's development and cultivating understanding. And that's really a beautiful part of Fairmont in particular, but also in chapter, when we're doing these degrees, it's a lot different than some other bodies because in these degrees, everybody's involved. No man is left on the side. When we do the degrees, everybody's physically involved. You're not just sitting there on the sidelines watching. So that's something I definitely very much appreciate when it comes to chapter and York Rite. So I want to add that in there. And again, thank you for your insights, your information, and everything you shared with us today in terms of the lessons that we can take with us. And that's it for today. I want to again thank most excellent companion to First Principle, Dale Langille, for joining us. And that's it. We have nothing else. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next episode. Cheers.
Great. Thank you, Adrian, so much for putting this on and for all the work that Fairmont chapter has been doing to promote York Rite and Royal Arch Masonry. It's very much appreciated, and we're grateful to have you guys working on this.
Thank you. I'll pass on the message.
Thank you.
Yeah,
all right, man.